Okay, so thank again for those that were so brave to come back after the coffee break. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Ondrej Sarnecký, that will be having his case study on blockchain as a way to drive us towards a cashless society. Very curious to listen to what you have to say, meaning that will we still have some valuable assets without cash, or will be completely poor? Please let us know, what you think, and thanks for your intervention. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ondrej Sarnecký, and today I'll be talking about blockchain and the drive towards a cashless society. Together, we will be looking for an answer to a question: are we heading towards a cashless society? And if yes, it will be with a blockchain technology or not? To find that answer, we need to dig in our history. Let's start 9,000 years before Christ in ancient Egypt, where we have first records of barter market. What is barter market? Barter market is a market where farmers came to change their goods, like goods A for another good B. Like they came to change their cows and sheep for seeds and oils. And 8,000 years later, in 600 years before Christ, we have a first record about first currency, first issued coin or cash. It's called electrum, and it was in the ancient kingdom of Lydia in today's Turkey. And we are in the 13th century, where it was issued gold-backed coin called Florin in an Italian town called Florence. And specialty about that coin were that coin was made by gold, and thanks to that, it kept a stable value across the many centuries, and it enabled the international trade over the medieval Europe. And another interesting year is 1871, the start of e-money. In that year, a company called Western Union built a telephone line in North America from east to western coast, and that enabled the first financial transactions over the telephone line. Fun fact about the telephone line is that 6 warriors made the bracelets from their cables, and that caused interruptions over that telephone line. And another year, 100 years forward in the 19th, we have a rise of the internet age. With the rising of the internet technology, also banks came with a new type of services called the internet banking that we use almost for 30 years to today. And finally, the year 2008, the birth of Bitcoin. In that year, a document called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, was spread over the many hackers forums and over the whole internet. And it's the year of financial crisis, so people were looking for some alternative. And that's the birth of Bitcoin and blockchain technology, and this is the topic that I wanted to talk about today. But from barter to Bitcoin, and as history is our witness, whole financial system is slowly evolving into its cashless existence. With enormous power in our pockets, I'm talking about our smartphones, we are witnessing the downfall of in use of paper money, and also with increasing use of credit cards or mobile banking applications, and also with the increasing use of cryptocurrencies. There are many studies that are calling for a cashless society, but almost every study is mainly talking about benefits. But almost none of them is talking about the disadvantages of cashless society. But let's take a closer look what benefits and what disadvantages can bring a cashless society. Let's start with the benefits. First one is less crime. It's really easy to steal money in cash, even if it's small or big. And also crimes like drug dealing are traditionally in a cash. So for crimes like that, it will be a really hard times in a cashless society. And also paper trails. When you are making electronic transactions, every data from the transactions is always stored in some database. There is always trail of the transactions. So it's really hard to hide an income or to not pay taxes. Also, no cash management. It's a really benefit for small or medium businesses, for instance, in gastronomy, because they're always dealing with one day with really a lot of cash in their hands, and one day they don't have a change for their customers. And third, the international payments. When you are visiting foreign country, traditionally you need to buy or exchange for local currency. But there's no such problem when you're using your credit card on an electronic transaction. But really there are many disadvantages in a cash-free world. Let's start with privacy. As I mentioned before, there is always some record in some database about it at the transaction. So that means always less privacy. Also hacking and technology problems. Every electronic system is programmed, and that always means that the system is not bug-free, and there is always place or some opportunity for a hacker. And inequality. As I mentioned before, almost every one of us is walking around with expensive devices, but not the poor people, because they don't have money for that, and in a cashless society it could means a problem for that, because they're not be able to receive or receive transactions or pay. And also fees, because in this online world, it's almost nothing for free. And overspreading. When you're using cash, when you are giving away a bill from your hand, you are almost you are feeling the pain almost every bill that you are giving away from your hand. But when you are using your credit card on some application, those are just number in your mobile. But those were the problems that we already solved with technology like blockchain. But not many problems like inequality, fees, and overspreading. Maybe those problems will be solved in near future or not. But the technology problems are already solved, many of them with the blockchain technology. Imagine blockchain technology to be implemented in today's financial systems or all financial world. It could really mean the breaking point in our history, not as a society, but also in the history of economy. But what's the point in all of that? What's so attractive on blockchain technology? To find an answer, we need to know how blockchain technology is working. You can imagine blockchain technology as a decentralized database or a cloud-based ledger. That together, every participant that have that database together are creating the whole network. And every participant in that network can see all the transactions that are happening on that network, and can also make the transaction and also validate. And there is no central point or authority in that network that can manipulate or even delete some data from the database. So you just need to remember three main features of blockchain. First one, transparency, because every participant in the network can see what is happening on the network and can see every transactions that is written in the decentralized ledger. And also immutability, because every transaction is permanently written and can be deleted from that database. And also decentralization, because there is no central point or a central authority that could affect the transactions or stop them. Cryptocurrencies were for many years icon of freedom from financial institutions like banks. But European Central Bank has other plans with the blockchain technology, and that sounds like central bank digital currencies. What is central bank digital currency? It is potential new form of digital central bank money that can be distinguished from reserves or settlement balances held by commercial banks and central banks. In that point, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, it really sounds like some scenario from Orwell books. But it's just a piece of code, and every piece of code can be programmable in many ways. And we know, or there are proposed two main ways that can be programmable. And the first one is WUSL, that will limit access to a predefined group of users. And second one, the general purpose, it will be widely accessible, like general currency or cryptocurrency. So for me, it really sounds not really good. But we are at the end of my presentation, and finally, where lies the answer for a cashless society? Let me answer like that. Bitcoin or blockchain technology is not the answer for a cashless society, but do you remember those devices? Those were PDAs or Palm Pilots, and they were a first sign of future change that is basically our smartphones. And we can imagine blockchain technology exactly like that, as a first sign of some future change or future technology then that can come in the future. Well, thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot for that. I think you shared some views on how actually current technology is shaping the future and how it will be also shaping that in the years to come. If there are questions here for Ondrej. Yes, please, the gentleman in the first row.
Okay. Hello. My name is Fred Antunes from the Portuguese Blockchain Association. Thank you very much for your presence. My question is quite simple to understand here the Slovakian ecosystem. I did not have the opportunity in the last one to make the question. In Portugal, one of the things that the banks are doing right now is to ask a new license for the custody of crypto assets and specifically cryptocurrencies. Because one of the problems that we immediately realized in Portugal is, I mean, all over the world, is when you have 5,000 Bitcoins at home, you are in a big risk because someone can enter your house, point a gun at your head and force you to give your private keys. My question here in the Slovakian ecosystem is how the banks are seeing and approaching this cashless society and especially the cryptocurrencies. I mean, are they, doing a conservative approach, or are they also being open-minded, like in Portugal, asking for custody licenses to provide the new commercial products?
Well, about the banks, I don't have very much the informations, but in my opinion, as a startup or user of cryptocurrencies and also the entrepreneur, this developing some solutions. In my opinion, banks here are really conservative right now about the cryptocurrencies, and there was like half of a year in that year, I think, it was some issues where bank accounts were closed for many people that were receiving the money from exchanges or from markets, let's say. So as far as I know, banks here are really conservative about the technology and also cryptocurrencies. Excuse me?
Blockchain products right now.
Blockchain products, I don't think any bank have some blockchain product or even in the development.
So there is room for improvement, certainly. There is a business opportunity here to come. Okay, I would like to thank you for that. I would like to thank Ondrej. Of course, Ondrej will be around, so if someone has some other questions, I would like to invite now Martin Lind.